Hey boys and girls, Doug Childs here. It's Warriors Rich
and Wildmen. What's happening, Doug? How'd you like that?
Hey, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but Sound of Freedom, it just came out in the theaters.
Watched it.
It stars Jim Caviezel and stuff. And I know this is off topic, Rich, but
no, it's great.
I gotta say something, man. So everybody's like, so what'd you think about the movie? You know, it's like, first of all, if this is news to you, then you have truly lived a storied life with your head buried in the sand. We've been following this garbage for, I think since the inception on Clash Daily, where we've published over 80,000 articles. I know about it. I know guys that are on the front lines of rescues. Regis was in India for a month in 2020 before the fake plague slapped the planet, and she was training girls in jiu-jitsu who had been rescued, pretty much from uncles and, creepy dads and granddads that were selling them for sex at the ripe old age of 7. So
yeah, if you don't know, Sound of Freedom is about human trafficking, sex trafficking, of minors in particular.
Yeah, I prefer the word sex slavery instead of
I do too.
traffic, because traffic kind of, it's dolled up a little bit.
Yeah, of course it is.
They're definitely putting them. I think Tim Ballard said, I saw him do an interview. If people haven't seen Tim Ballard, who the movie is about, and I think
now
he's
that
done over
story is a story I had
7,000
never
rescues.
heard before. That's a story I had never heard.
No,
that was an amazing story.
That's some crazy 7,000 plus rescues of kids. Again, when we say sex slavery, we're talking about the average age I think is 7, and so they have a spate to where they get raped 5 to 8 times a day. And then after 10 years of that insane abuse, then they're tossed out like a piece of human waste. And Ballard has saved thousands of these kids. And so his ministry, his work, very impressive. His balls out venture where he just quit the Department of Homeland Stupidity when they wouldn't let him continue on in his efforts to rescue the kids in Colombia, I think is, it's the stuff of legends. Because most people would say, my authority won't let me do it. It's like, you got a higher authority, man. His name's Jesus. And if this is your call, which Ballard said it was, then he's like, poof, he dives off the diving board into it. So one of the things, Rich, that just really, I was screaming at the frickin' screen. When I was watching this, because, again, we know how atrocious these crimes are. I mean, in America, in Texas in particular, is tip of the spear for this garbage.
Yeah, Phoenix is the #1 sex traffic city in the United States. Well, you got to figure it's Southwest. It's a massive city. It's an airport hub. I mean, from there they can get them anywhere. #1.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hip to what's going on to some extent. I'd like to think more than your typical average Joe and stuff. So it's not like a shocker. Oh my God, this is really happening. But the way that they depicted the opening scene when that hoochie mama Colombian lady had this faux talent company, and the dad sees his daughter has got the chops, she's got some pipes, then he gets this little flyer that maybe, this agency will make her rich and famous and facilitate, growth in regards to her purpose and destiny. And when he took her, first of all, to that crap hotel in Cartagena, I mean, I wouldn't, if I saw that hotel and it's like, hey, you're going to leave your kid here? It's like, no, I'm not. And I just push the pedal and I keep on going. But man, when she told him that we're going to keep your kids, and your boy's cute too, let him come along. We can find work for him. And she told him to shuffle off till 7. Right then and there, man, the movie could have ended, at least for those 2 young kids. Right. When the dad said, no, not going to happen, lady. You go pound sand now. You're not going to separate me from my kids. Well, dude, I'm telling you, Rich, I was like flipping. It's like, oh my God.
Look at the videos that they showed, the real video clips of kids getting snatched right out of their parents' arms on the street, bro. Out of their arms. push them in the face, snatch their kid, and run away. And they try and they can't even catch them, or steal little brothers and sisters while they're playing with their brother or sister right in front of their own houses. And like that little kid with the bat trying to chase them, there's no hope. Like, some of those situations are impossible. Like you said, people need to definitely watch their kids and they need to be smart, right? But some of them, it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's some ballsy stuff, and from the videos, it doesn't look like it was stateside type kidnappings, but you got a what, $150 billion industry now in the child sex slavery, and now we've got, thanks to frickin' sleepy, creepy, half-dead carrier pigeon for Marxist radical ideas. I'm talking about none other than Joe Biden. We've got this influx of not 5 million or 6 million. I would put it, Rich, whatever the media tells us, do a 2x to 3x, multiplication of those numbers, and we've got I'm guessing a great ton of those kind of douchebags that are going to start working, supermarkets, gas
well, they already
stations,
are here, Doug, and
playground.
We've had things in Yuma. We're a border town, right? We're 20 miles from the border. And parents are always posting stuff, hey, there's a white van been cruising our neighborhood. And they call the cops. By the time the cops get there, obviously they're gone. And I even had a friend, an adult woman that was walking through a mall where she works, walking through the parking lot. And two guys drove up, started talking to her. And they wanted her to come over the car. And she turned around and head back for the mall. They turned around and chased her, bro. Like, the guy got out of the car and chased her into the mall. Like, that's in broad daylight.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah, and didn't Annie have some kind of altercation? She was at a store and
Walmart.
She's walking to her car, and you got these, this human refuse. That what happened? Like,
she was walking across the parking lot, and she was wearing like just regular like sundress or something, and she saw out of the corner of her eye a shadow of someone behind her, and she turned real quick, and the guy turned and took off. And this guy across the parking lot yelled, hey, that guy just took a picture up your dress. And the guy that yelled that was actually a security guy for Walmart, and he took off chasing the guy, but he was gone. Like, there's no question catching him. But I mean, that's just a typical perv. Like, he's probably not, but still, that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to be aware of your surroundings. But what are you going to do? You're going to be paranoid everywhere you walk. If you're a woman, or with your kids, you kind of halfway need to be. You need to be at least vigilant, right? You have to pay attention. I mean, and that's not trying to blame the people that are victims. We're not trying to say that. But if you have your kids or your wife, you need to teach them to be very careful.
Absolutely.
Just to be smart. I mean, we're not trying to blame the people that are victims, that it's their fault, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of am when it comes to the dad and the scene that was depicted in that movie.
That was foolish.
Yeah, I mean, Dad, you've got to have a screaming, highly tuned thing Rich called a BS detector. Mm-hmm. And there's just certain things, man, that when you hear people say it, dude, I don't care if it's, like if I'm getting a weird vibe on, granddad or a pastor or a youth pastor or a freaking teacher or whomever, especially, like when you get, the radical trans movement and the radical gay freaks that literally tell you we're coming for your children. And then you see at school, they've got all these, rainbow crap all over the place. And they're like, yay, sodomy is so awesome. Give us your children for 8 hours. No, you're done. You've just eclipsed everything that I'm hardwired with in regards to this thing called trust. And I don't trust you. And I think parents, Rich, I think you're right, man. I think and again, I don't think it's paranoia. It's just situational awareness that is looking out at how effed up everything has become now, and not playing like it's not happening. And we're back we're back in Mayberry with Andy and Opie and Aunt B. That ship has sailed, baby.
Doug, and I have a friend. Like, this isn't some story that I read of somewhere. This is a personal friend of mine who has stayed in my home. His daughter was in high school. She was a little rebellious, sneaking out, doing that kind of stuff. And he would tell her, hey, this is a Christian guy, Christian family. He says, hey, you can't do that. You need to do what's right. But she snuck out, went out with this boy, and didn't come home. Well, they thought she ran away. They didn't know. Guess what? The guy handcuffed her to a pole and started her on drugs and started pimping her out. Like, that sounds impossible. Literally, a high school girl and her boyfriend, just like that, guess what? She was being sex trafficked. And this guy actually worked with a group of guys who that's what they do is extractions. He went with them and got her back and rescued other people. His own daughter. So he worked in that field, and his own daughter got trafficked. And part of it is she put herself in a stupid situation, like right? I mean, it wasn't like she was in her bed and they kidnapped her, which does happen, but she put herself in a bad situation. So this organization asked me some years ago, maybe 5 or maybe more, maybe 7 years ago, they asked me if I wanted to be their lead, their point man for Arizona. And I told them no. And they said, why? Don't you believe it? I said, 100%, man. I believe in what you're doing. I'll support you. I'll help. I'll do what I can. I said, but one of two things that happen. I would not have anywhere near enough time to commit to it, and I would do a terrible job. Or I would get swallowed up by it and commit to it and not take care of any of my other responsibilities. I'm not geared up to do that. I'm not made for that.
Yeah, and I think there's
people are, and I want to help, right?
I think there's a third option. It would be probably one and done for you, because you would murder everybody in that house that just kidnapped and raped.
I would, and then I would cry for a month. I'm very emotional about those type of things. Some things I'm good at, God made me to do. I don't have a lot of productive strength when it comes to those things, because I will do terrible things and then I'll be wrecked. I mean, so when I watched the movie and I saw the torment of the guy's character, I could relate to that, except times 1,000, because he was able to channel it and do this incredible thing. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, another thing that, and again, we're talking about, these grown, lecherous, perverted, so they are adults, and again, from a predatory standpoint, I'm not saying that, ladies and guys in their 20s and 30s aren't being snatched and raped and stuff, but predominantly it's young kids. I've watched Hamish and his grappling jiu-jitsu and stuff. So he's been training, I think, since he was 18 months old and stuff, in some kind of form or fashion. He can break a hold on an adult, and now again, I mean, it's they throw a net around him, or they throw a sheet or a blanket or
punch you in
something
the face
like that,
and knock you out.
Yeah, but I mean, just the whole grabbing him, and he's tested on me, and I was going to do the whole bulldog type thing, and it's like, I'm not going to let go this easy. And dude, he's evasive. He's a strong little monkey and stuff. Is it fail safe and foolproof? Absolutely not. But man, parents, and again, I've been yapping about this for decades. Parents really need to think: should we put Scooter Jr. or our little darling in piano lessons or ballet or frickin' Brazilian jiu-jitsu? I would go for jiu-jitsu now, man. Yeah, but if I had to choose one or the other, I'm going for the martial arts. I'm going for grappling, jiu-jitsu, that kind of stuff. And because it's just that movie, which was made 5 years ago, and which it's become way more egregious because of the open border status. It just goes to show everybody that it's crack night in the ferret hut, and the demonic clowns are definitely driving and running the circus. And so, I don't know, mom's got to wake up, dad's got to wake up, kids have to be trained, and it sucks. And I'm not a big, paranoid guy, but it's a different day, my brother.
And something you said too, Doug, a lot of people aren't paying attention to the human trafficking, particularly the child sex trafficking, because it's so painful to think about. Like, watching the movie was somewhat painful. It's painful. It's true, based on true events. It's not some story somebody dreamed up. And I listen to the people around me in shock. And like you said, we know about this stuff. I know about this stuff. But when I'm listening to the shock of the people around me in the movie theater talking out loud to each other in shock about it, shows you that it is something that's really needed, and it's powerful. And the theater when we went, the movie was full almost all day, and the one we went to was almost full as well. And so lots of people are going to see it because they're interested in it and they do care. A lot of it's like the gospel. How can people believe if nobody tells them? How can nobody tells them? Nobody preaches. How can anybody preach if nobody sends them? I mean, it's the same type of message. That could be true about almost anything. So on a topic like this, if nobody's saying it and nobody's sending the message or anybody sharing the message, then we can't expect people to just imagine it, because it's not something you're going to go, I'm going to Google the statistics on sex trafficking. I mean, that's not something that the typical person is going to think about. It's like, why would I scroll Instagram for 30 minutes rather than read My Utmost for His Highest? Because one's mindless, one takes effort and energy and costs me something. And thinking's hard, right? And so we want people to think more about those type of issues. I think the format of the movie is incredible. Let me say this too. I don't mean to ramble, but I've been to Colombia many times. And two things I think about the movie. One, I might be wrong. This is my guess. I don't think drugs were shown as much as they're used, that I understand they are in human sex trafficking in children. Because I think heroin's used a lot. It's one of the ways they keep them doing what they want, right? But again, that's from what I understand. That could be regional too. But I've been to Colombia many times, and I love my Colombian friends. They never want you to say anything negative about Colombia. Too bad, your country's crazy. I've been there during terrorist attacks. A friend of mine saw somebody shot in the street right in front of him. So when I was in Colombia, it's very dangerous. It feels very dangerous. That's in Bogota. I've been outside Bogota, and we've had bodyguards and stuff with us. Still feels very dangerous. Where those guys went in that movie, bro, like, we flew from one city to another, and you can drive there, Doug. We didn't drive because you got to go through rebel territory, and it's too dangerous to drive there. Bro, that's not a joke. Like, when you watch on the movie, you're like, oh, yeah, I've seen Rambo before. This ain't Rambo, bro. Like, when I saw that, it put a level of fear in me just from the little bit of understanding that I have from having been to Colombia 20 plus times. Bro, that movie scared the crap out of me, bro. And the fact that he went with the rebels, like, dude, no. It's a miracle he's alive. That's a Jesus thing, bro. Because they'll shoot you. They do not care, and they will shoot you. I promise you that.
Yeah, so do you think Tim Ballard, the guy who rescued all these kids from the sex slaves, do you think that he's forlorn and vexed, Rich, about, spicing up his Christianity? Do you think he's, thinking the thoughts of your typical hipster groovy,
Pride Month?
Yeah, well, his Christianity needs a little bit more spice, so maybe another small group,
Bro, you want to talk about living it balls to the wall? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, again,
dude, you want to know why his plan worked? You want to know why that plan worked? Because it was so freaking stupid. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. That plan was so stupid. And you want to know something? That's not a stupid man. He knew that it only had a chance to work because it was so stupid. He knew that. Right. You do that, you're freaking crazy, bro. Like, you're crazy. And I do not think he embellished that one bit. I think it was probably way worse than that. I don't want to know the details of it. I don't want to know the details of the stuff he's seen. I don't want to know what he's had to tolerate in order to rescue those people. Bro, he's a hero to me. Like, seriously, if I have heroes, that's a hero.
Yeah, no, that's I watched him. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's worth the hour and a half watch. Him and Caviezel are on Jordan Peterson's podcast for an hour and a half, dude. I gotta watch that. So between, again, they're two different things, and both of them are necessary. The cinematic aspect and depiction, for the shock and awe to people who are not going to sit down for an hour and a half and listen to Jordan, dissect Ballard and Caviezel. But if you were to ask me which one would I rather, as far as me goes, first of all, I'd take both, but I would go with the interview because, man, Rich, it's way intense. And Mary Margaret's not, down for nearly 2 hours of Peterson and stuff, but after we watched the movie, we saw that as an option on YouTube. Frickin' absolutely fascinating. And I tell you another thing that, aside from all the incredible stuff that Ballard did, on the other, behind the scenes is his wife.
Dude,
And
she's insane.
She's telling him, it's like, dude, you need to go save those children. And
He's
she's
like,
got
what would we do if it was one of our kids?
Boom,
Quit
go
your
to the
job
jungle,
and go
baby.
get them. That's not
Right.
a spoiler. That's on the
Yeah.
on the preview. But still, quit your
Right.
job and go get them. Come on, man.
Yeah, and he had what, 6 kids, 7 kids, and
Yeah,
he
Doug,
speed.
I thought
And
that
he's
watching the movie.
spelunking
I was
like
trying
that?
to make excuses
Wow.
for him during the movie. Like, were you going to leave your kids without a dad? Like, you literally going to leave your family with nobody to take care of them? That don't make no sense. That's the voice of reason. And guess what? Reasonable people don't do incredible things. They just reason with people. If you want to do something incredible, you have to be unreasonable. And that guy, I promise you, is unreasonable. He is a difficult person. He's a difficult friend. That guy's a difficult husband and dad. That is a difficult, 100% promise you that.
Yeah, I like it when he goes on these various, because I've watched probably 10 interviews, and you get this. There's a couple, man, that I was just like, I can't believe that Ballard is not rabbit punching this interviewer in the face right now because of his chapeau kind of, I got me a movie star and hadn't seen the movie. They're not really thinking of the dreaded things that Ballard has to do, has to see, and has to perform in order to do it. And they just come up, hey, man, so great film, it's really cool. You're such a hero. And he's just like, I got to leave now. I have to.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong room with the wrong people.
I have a friend that some of his friends work for the government tracking down these pedophiles online. They have to sit and watch what those people are watching and record it for 8 to 10 hours a day. He said they pay them so much. They're almost all former special forces. They pay them so much money, Doug, because no one wants to do it, and the suicide rate is through the roof. Bro, I promise you.
Yeah, how do you come down from that?
Hey, you want to do this? No. You want to be homeless?
Yeah.
I sure do. I'm not doing that. I can't do it. I can't even function like that. You show me that,
I don't even know.
I'm going to go to that guy's house at nighttime, and I'm going to light his house on fire. And if there's people living there with him, too bad. They can all go to hell together. Like, I can't even, like we were talking about, I'm not gifted to do that. Like, I don't have those skills. They would have shot me in the first 5 minutes of the movie. They'd been like, this guy's stupid. I'd have been dead.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Again, how do you clear your brain from that? How many Disney movies, old Disney movies, do you have to watch to get that out of your head?
Yeah,
I had a guy used to come to our church in Miami that he did Vice in Miami, and his gig was to be bait for the radical gays that are having sex, like at bathrooms. Who did that back in the day? George Michael. Yeah. So that's illegal if people didn't know it. And so there was this one park that was just south of our house, like 5 minutes away, that it was a hotbed for all that crap and stuff. And so he would have to he would wear like Daisy Duke shorts and like a wife beater undershirt, and he would just kind of hang by the bathroom. And I was like, dude, how do you function, man? So he had to watch the stuff. He had to experience all that crap, and then you got to frickin' act normal, after the day's work ends. And this is some, yeah. I couldn't do it either, brother. Be some short ass work right there, man.
Yeah, Warriors and Wildmen, listen, you need to take your wife and older kids if they're teens, obviously, but you need to go watch this movie. Yep. It's not a movie, it's a true story. I mean, it's obviously a movie, but man, what an incredible story, eye-opening. And I do agree that if people will pay attention and notice it, that we can make an impact. And I think this crap with like Epstein's list, how can you punish somebody for pimping out kids when you're not taking care of any victims and not prosecuting any Johns?
Right.
That's not possible.
Yeah, because
they're obviously politicians.
Yeah, and the elite of Hollywood, that Epstein's list, and hopefully DJT will get back behind that Resolute desk, and as he cleans,
they'll
the
shoot
swamp
him
and
before it
stuff.
happens.
Yeah, I kind of fear for RFK Jr. because that man is saying and
Dude,
doing things.
That guy's hardcore. Hey,
you
both
see-
those guys need to be wearing bulletproof vests. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, can you imagine if, say, Trump got the White House and he tags RFK Jr. to be the vice president?
Bro, it'd be insane, the memory.
The deep state would explode forever,
Well-
which would be a good thing.
Well, they'll make sure it never happens. But we need to make sure that whatever we can do to stop or participate in helping to stop human sex slavery and trafficking of all ages, but particularly children. Look, if you have a chance to give to an organization, we're not trying to get your money for this. If you want to give to an organization and help, we'll do that. If you want to volunteer and help, do that. Do what you need to do. If your church is involved,
Yeah.
get involved
And
in
it-
that.
Right, and again, Rich, if you've got young people, it's like, my Christianity's boring. Like, saddle up with these guys, ride with them. That's not going to
Duh.
be boring. You'll
Dude.
pray like you've never prayed. You'll study the
Bro.
scripture like you never studied the scripture.
Bro. Yes.
You'll see the power of God and the wisdom of God, manifest itself right in front of you. And so I tell people all the time, especially if they're young and single, it's like, go frickin' out there and go nuts, go crazy. Have God put you in the most ridiculous, scary place, and your Christianity will take on a different scent and a different flair, Rich.
Yeah. You won't be
immediately.
sitting around looking for Christian dating.
Right.
Well, my
All right,
last
so
thought on the
aside-
whole movie is the
Yep.
famous line from the movie is that God's children are not for sale. Like that's not a mission. That's a passion. That's a calling. That's carved on that dude's heart. That was impressive.
Yeah, no, it's heavy, it's deep, it's horrific, and with all these Christian movies out there, that's the one that the Christian should watch.
Yes.
And it's wow. And I don't know what the ministry is, but I'm sure it's easy to find out. Like you said, if people they don't or can't, or they're called to something else, then give this guy some greenbacks, man. He's definitely doing the do, and
Yeah.
there's no shortage of people that are held in slavery to these sex fiends and stuff. So they're still out there by the millions and millions of people. So a lot of work to do, man.
Yeah.
So aside from that, Rich, what do the Warriors and Wildmen listener need to do, big dog?
Go to warriorsandwildmen.com, subscribe. It's free. We will hit you up with a couple emails a week. Let you know what's happening, keep you posted. You want to support the ministry, hit the war chest, tax deductible. When you send your gift, we'll send you the information for that. For those that are doing it, you guys rock. Warriors and Wildmen out.